two underwater cameramen suddenly become shark bait. The movie Jaws has nothing on their story, which comes in at number 12 on our list.
I'm thinking that I'm just going to be, torn to pieces. It was completely illogical, but, given the circumstances, I was terrified.
In November 2007, Pat Walsh and Paul Damgard signed up for a shark diving expedition off the Pacific coast of Mexico.
Isla Guadalupe is world-renowned now for shark diving with great whites. The number of sharks and the size of these sharks is really uncommon.
The men paid for the opportunity to shoot video of great white sharks from inside a metal cage submerged 30 feet below the surface of the ocean.
The great white is just a magnificent creature. They're just so graceful. It gives you a little bit of a rush being in the water with them.
On this particular day, the divers didn't have much luck. At first,
we were the only two in the water at that time, and we were both in the same cage. Things were pretty slow. There wasn't a lot of sharks swimming around or being very active.
But before long, the money shot.
Off in the distance, I spotted a female coming up at a really steep angle. She was coming up clearly towards the hang bait. I got kind of excited at that point. I'm thinking, oh great, I'm going to get a really nice, open mouth shot.
In a split second, excitement turned to horror.
I think it just lost direction at that point, and it was just going to try to run with the bait. It didn't have a lot of maneuvering room.
Just took a couple of fin strokes and just hit the cage with so much force. It was like a car accident.
It ran right through the viewing port where I was filming.
Unfortunately, the shark can only go in one direction, forward, and you're talking about a 16-foot great white that weighs maybe 2,000 pounds.
It starts twisting its body, and with that, it just completely makes a torquing move and lunges forward again, and at that time, it starts collapsing the top part of the cage inward.
The shark was completely inside the cage. I thought for sure the two of us were goners.
I'm trying to push Patrick out towards the escape hatch, and I'm almost to that escape hatch, and then I'm stuck. And the cage has come down and pinned me.
Right behind Paul, there's just this red glow. And I'm thinking, oh no, he's been bit. I'm next.
I can't get out the escape hatch. I can just see Patrick going out through there. And now this shark's stuck behind me, and I can't see it. And it's just a humongous thrashing going on.
Somehow crew members were able to rescue Paul from the quickly collapsing cage.
The dive master up above just hauls me straight up out of that cage, and that shark's still thrashing underneath my feet. Pretty terrifying.
Basically just made my way around to the back of the cage. I was restricted by this air hose that I'd made a path that I couldn't do anything but follow back. So I had to make my way back through the trap door and then back to the surface, and that was probably the longest 15 seconds of my life.
Eventually, the shark freed itself from the cage and swam off.
I mean, it was a complete miracle that both of us made it out of that situation without being crushed or bitten or something happening to us.
I remember Patrick talking about this red aura around my head. This was just a red buoy that was between the two cages to keep them from banging together.
Shaken, but not stirred, the two returned to the water.
That little incident didn't bother either one of us. Within an hour, both of us were in the other cage filming again.
The incredible video was posted on the internet. It's been viewed nearly 1 million times. While our last two survivors escaped shark-infested waters without injury, our subject at number 11 wasn't so lucky. Shark attack survivor Bethany Hamilton.
The doctor said I had a slim chance of surviving, and they thought it was a miracle.
On October 31st, 2003, champion surfer Bethany Hamilton was doing what she loves most. The 13-year-old Hawaiian native and her best friend Alana were catching some early morning waves.
Bethany Hamilton was surfing a spot called Tunnels. It's off the coast of Kauai. It's a really well-known right-hander, very popular surf spot in Kauai.
Alana's father Holt and brother Byron were also with the girls that day.
You know, we were outside on the very outside reef where you see that white water, which is approximately, quarter to a half mile out. And we were all sitting there just kind of talking, waiting for a set to come. None of us were really looking at Bethany.
While Hamilton was waiting for the right wave, something suddenly struck her from her left side.
I only saw like a gray blur, so I didn't really see too much.
The blur of gray was a 14-foot tiger shark. With one massive bite, the shark took a large chunk out of Bethany's surfboard. It also bit off her left arm. Hamilton was bleeding profusely and in danger of a possible second attack. With the water around her clouded red, the teenager managed to paddle to her friends.
I turn around and she screams I got attacked by a shark.
I thought she was probably kidding or something, and I noticed there was a lot of blood in the water. In fact, I noticed the blood in the water before I realized her arm was not there. I think my brain couldn't comprehend that.
I had to look twice. I was like, oh my gosh.
I knew I was going to have to try to help her catch a wave to get in. Right when we got to each other, a little wave came, and I pushed her into it.
I thought that she wasn't going to make it when I was paddling her in. So I looked back at her, and she was just so pale.
I just really had doubts that she was going to live because she had already lost so much blood, and from the time she got attacked till the time we got to the beach was probably 20 minutes or so.
On shore, Bethany was safe from the shark, but she was still losing blood fast. Holt used a rubber surfboard leash to make a tourniquet to stem the bleeding.
We carried her up the beach and into the parking lot. We waited for the paramedics.
I kept asking her if she's okay, just to make sure she was still able to hang on. But I couldn't really understand what she was saying. I think she was praying.
It took nearly 45 minutes for an ambulance to arrive. By the time Bethany got to the hospital, she lost 60% of her blood.
60% of your blood volume, you're at the limit. You're basically on death's door.
Holt Blanchard, by taking that quick, decisive action, by wrapping that tourniquet around her, almost certainly saved Bethany's life.
It was a miracle Bethany survived the attack. But afterward, the teenager had only one dream: to get back on her board and surf again.
I was anxious and antsy to get back in the water.
3 weeks after the shark attack, Bethany asked her father if she could hit the waves. He reluctantly agreed.
My first time back out surfing was just I was scared, thrilled, and just excited all at the same time. Mainly I was scared that I wouldn't be able to do it, and I wasn't really thinking about sharks that much.
Hamilton made more headlines when she hit the competition circuit in 2004. Bethany placed 5th in the national championships just 9 months after her harrowing ordeal.
The national championships is one of the biggest contests for an amateur in the USA. It's pretty exciting just to feel that I can still do it even with one arm.
Bethany not only continues to surf, but continues to thrive in the surfing community. She is still a professional surfer. She's still winning contests.
I thought she would surf again, but not to the extent that she is now. She's a lot better than she was before it happened even.
Incredibly, Bethany says that the shark attack and loss of her left arm were a blessing.
Attitude is everything. How you view yourself, your whole body image, decide whether you want to be a victim or not.
Through Jesus Christ, I can do all things, and it's just really exciting to share my story and inspire people to press on in what they're struggling with.
The best thing to do if you're attacked by a shark is to strike back with whatever you've got. You go for the eyes or the gills, which are at the sides. They're sensitive, and it'll usually back off.
Up next, crippled and stranded in a blizzard on one of the world's highest peaks.
It's a near impossibility that someone would survive this kind of ordeal.